Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, and welcome to another episode from me, Avamans, in my Minecraft Seas reviews and tours series. Last time we had an absolute cracker from Cami Hatch, and that was episode 60. It's episode 61 coming now. Don't you go anywhere. As always, we are going to create this world together. I've made the world name the seed because I'll be able to find it later if I do that. But going into more world options, make sure you always put the seed in here. Otherwise, you're going to get something different and you're only going to be sad, and no one wants that in their life. So let's crack on, create the world, and see what we end up with. I'm told this one is really, really good. And it looks like we've spawned in on the edge of a swamp with a savannah over there and some plains. Let's just pillar up so as we've got a good vantage point, and also we know exactly where our spawn point is going to be all the time when we're coming it from a distance. Yes, I know I'm in creative, and I know I could have flown up here to look around, but this is about being able to see where the spawn is from a distance, not about getting high. Looking around from up here, we've got a little swamp that is certainly big enough, that wet area there, to be able to give you an iron golem powered slime farm. Definitely. We've got a plains area that kind of wraps around, looks like a dark oak forest just over there. We've got a desert, and it looks like just there we've got a desert temple right near spawn, which is wonderful. Panning around, we've got a savannah with a savannah village just over there. It's actually a pretty decent spawn area. You've got everything you could possibly need. Let's go and have a wander around. Which way is north? North is that way. Let's see what we've got. So as we saw from spawn there, we've got a savannah village that is relatively flat. There's not too much high up, so maybe setting off a raid there wouldn't be too bad, but it has got a blacksmith, and it's also got a broken portal just the other side of it, which is really nice. The other side of that, we have got a very, very big desert, plenty of sand, all the glass you need. We've got another village coming up on the left-hand side. This time it's a plains village. It's a little bit smaller. No blacksmith in this one, but again, certainly a source of villagers should you want to do something, bringing them up to the spawn area. And we've got a jungle just the other side of the village here. We've got a jungle. You can see we are only at minus 350, minus 5. On the other side, we've got a mesa as well. So jungle, a little very, very thin jungle. We've got a broken portal right there. We've got a bit of a swamp coming up on the other side. I just noticed that as well. But we've got a mesa as well. So we've got just here a village. Spawn is literally just where the fog is. Then we come through a very thin jungle, although it's relatively long by the look of it, and into a mesa. Isn't that fantastic? Let's carry on going north and see what else we can find in this direction. The jungle spreads out a little bit on this. Oh, look, we've got a jungle pyramid right there. That is minus 365, 880-ish. So that's pretty close to spawn as well. So we've got that desert pyramid and a jungle pyramid comfortably within 1,000 blocks of the spawn area, which is fantastic. This border between the mesa and the jungle just goes on and on for ages. So I wonder whether or not we're going to find even more interesting stuff as we go further north. Like this second jungle temple at minus 382, minus 1,500. And right next to it, there is another broken portal right in the middle of the jungle, actually, which isn't very common. You don't see that very often at all. And we've got my favourite, my absolute favourite Mesa biome right here. Look at this. As we go past that jungle edge, which is actually a very rare biome, jungle edge, the eroded badlands comes to me. And I think you can do some really gorgeous building in eroded badlands. They've got such a good look. Look at that. Isn't it fantastic? I love that. The jungle eventually stretches out and opens into a big tiger biome, just separated ever so slightly with this very thin plains. It's quite a wobbly plains, lots of terraforming if you wanted to build into that, but the tiger's great, all the spruce you could possibly need, with a big mountain range on the back of it, which is always very nice as well. Looks like we've got a bit of an ocean coming behind that too, or big ocean cove at the very least. That could be an interesting building spot. If you cleared a few trees, you could make a nice pirate cove there. Be interested to see what people could do with that. Let's see what the ocean's got. The ocean carries on for quite some time. We've got little tiny slivers of islands around here though, which is quite nice. You could come and maybe build yourself a little bit of an island survival here. What are the coordinates? The coordinates here are 300 minus 2,600. So if we come back onto the axis, try and get a little bit more on the 0 coming up on the northerly direction. We've got, again, a few more. Hang on, what's that? We've got an ocean monument coming up just here. What's the coordinates of this? Just off of this little island cove. And that ocean monument is at around about 600 minus 2,800, which is quite good. We've got a little desert village coming up on the side, just past the ocean monument. So is that just, it is just the one. I'm just checking. I thought they were like two right on top of each other then. We've got a triple. Oh, and they're in a line as well. Look at that. We've got a triple tower desert village just here that's got a interesting looking portal right there. So you could build a strip of, like a travel strip right across the top of the desert pyramids, which means that you could create, oh look, it's got a big old ravine underneath it too. You could create a very effective raid farm type of thing. Generate the raid when you come in here. If you've got the mad cow effect, kill out one of those people carrying the banners out in the wilderness. Come here, trigger it, and then you can run backwards and forwards, killing all of the raiders really effectively until the Vexes come. You are golden. We've got another desert temple right there, which is very, very close. We've got a dark oak forest here too, which looks like it stretches on for days as well, which is nice. Splitting out into a tiny little bit of a plains area, I guess. Kind of a bit of a plains. We're currently only 3,500 blocks north, 600, a little bit off the axis, but that's not too bad. And if you like building with birch, the other side of that dark oak forest, it is birch trees as far as the eye can see. Look at that. It's absolutely massive. That is a lot of chests and a lot of sticks, and maybe 47 crafting tables as well, because you don't really need the birch wood for anything else, do you? We're heading out from spawn in an easterly direction. We've got what's always really interested. We've got a village from one biome spewing into a different biome right here. So this desert village has decided it wants to visit into the plains, which is nice. I can't like the contrast that gives it. And it's quite a big plains. Relatively nicely put out. It's big, it's round, it's quite flat. You've got some lava pools in the middle of it. You could probably flatten that out and make quite a nice little town. Over the other side, the desert is continuing on. We've got a nice winding river separating the plains and the desert there too, which is good. The savannah kind of trying to poke into the desert right there. That river continues around. Actually, I quite like the look of this cove. Another desert temple, so that's like 3 or 4 desert temples we've already found until it hits into the ocean. And once it's in the ocean, let's see what's on the other side. At around about 1,000 blocks out, we've got really interesting shaped island. It's got this long sandbank going out that way. It's got a long sandbank going out that way, and it's got a quite nice round area with a cove that you could build something quite interesting in there, I think. And then here you've got one of these large broken portals. I always like the way these look. Lots of things that you can nick from here. Big gold blocks, a nice chest. Come and loot that right against this second island here, which looks good too. Lots of kind of island living building opportunities in the middle of this really very, very big open ocean, about 1,000 blocks out from spawn. At about 1,500 blocks out, I found what I thought was the smallest tiny little coral reef I've ever seen in Minecraft, next to another broken portal right there. And then I realised the coral reef carries on. Bit of a gap between this kind of little tiny brother there and the big mummy one here, but this is a big coral reef now. So we're about 1,600, almost exactly towards the east, on this kind of border to a savanna plains, very, very small savanna area next to a very, very large desert. So like a bit of savanna living, that is nice and flat, not any mountains. You could easily transform that into a decent sized base. You've got some shallow entrances going into the earth there for easy mining, a really nice looking cove right there. That carries on. You can see that coral reef there. Isn't that cool? That looks brilliant. Coral reef carries on there, and we've got the desert going on and on out. Yet another desert temple right there, which is fantastic. And more plains. There's always more plains. And another village. We've got a village coming up. What kind of village is this? This looks like a relatively small village. Again, not too many buildings, but perhaps you could make this your base. I like the way it sits right on the edge of the sea and it's got 2 jetties jutting out in 2 different directions. And this shipwreck has been completely engulfed by the desert. Now let's just pretend that the sand was blown on top of it, shall we? Otherwise that would just bake my noodle. We're on around about 2,500 blocks directly to the east. And going a little further east, we've got some forest, we've got more plains. But what's really interesting about this is the desert kind of dips in. Oh look, another desert temple. You can never have too many of them, right? All kinds of treasures. We've got really interesting weaving river pattern that comes in here with a nice open area right there too. That plains there could be a really nice candidate for a base potentially, especially if there's a village even closer to it than the one that we just found over there, the desert village. It's always nice to have plains villagers if you're building a plains biome base, but doesn't look like we're going to win on this one particularly. It has got a savanna right next to it as well, and more mountains. We've got some mountains coming up here, so mining isn't going to be too much of a problem for you either. Now, as we head out south from our spawn point, we've got this cracking winding river here. I like the way that that's separating the sand of the desert from all of that plains area and also the dark oak forest just over there. But if we carry on in this direction, it looks like it's sand for days. Again, that was the desert temple that we saw right at the very, very beginning of the video. More river kind of pushing in between that desert sand there. And then we've got another plains coming on the left-hand side. Now we've got the opposite of what we saw a little while ago. We've got a plains village digging into the desert. So kind of the black to the white that we saw earlier on. Again, with more birch coming up on the background. It's a slightly bigger village. It's not got a blacksmith, but it's got some pretty big, decent sized houses. I imagine there'll be decent loot in some of those chests, definitely. The birch forest just coming on there, only slightly disturbing that plains. And then we've got the swamp coming on the right hand side. Now this swamp is fairly dry swamp, not that much in the way of water, so no good really to be able to build a slime farm, but it has got a broken portal right there that you can maybe come and take some stuff away from that. We've got another dark oak forest coming over in the background here, relatively small again, but dark oak, very, very good if you want to be building in medieval. And right next to that, we've got a plains. Actually, I quite like this plains. This plains could be good. We have got what looks like some smoke rising from the tiger biome, which means there's a tiger village right there. And I appreciate that these will be tiger villagers. But if you bring them over here, they might enjoy a bit of a change. This could be a really nice, small, maybe walled village that you could build there and bring in a few of those villagers just to populate it. This tiger biome goes on for quite some time actually until it breaks into this plains on the left. I do love this winding river, but I don't like that plains quite so much. It's a little bit broken up. It's got too much terraforming to do. Not so keen on building that one personally, however you might. We have, however, got a tiger village right here, and it looks like, yes, it looks like it's got a blacksmith too, which means there's always good loot that you can be grabbing out of that. It's got a number of taller buildings, which means it's more likely to have a different number of chests for you to come and nick stuff from as well. I'm going to carry on going south even further because the tiger biome continues on. The plains opens up just a little bit, so perhaps it's redeemed itself from a building perspective just on the left hand side. Turns into a bit of a mountain biome. Perhaps come and do some mountain living. I quite like this area of the plains. The split here with that waterfall looks really beautiful. I like that. That has got some opportunity. Maybe show me what you've built there on my Twitter at AvoMinecraft. You can send me a Twitter pic. And as we continue straight south, we have got at about 2,700 blocks south, we've got another village here, a plains village that just digs itself into that tiger biome, but we've got two, not one, but two blacksmiths, which means there is all kinds of treasure to be able to get from that. Maybe it's not really speedrunnable, this seed as yet, but certainly you've got plenty of resources within a couple of thousand blocks of spawn for you to be able to make a really good go of a survival game. Over the other side, more tiger, more plains. Plenty of building opportunities. So that only leaves us to go out and explore the westerly direction as we go out over this really quite tiny swamp that we saw. If we head west, which is in this direction right here, we've got the dark oak forest that we saw on the left hand side. We've got this plains area kind of diagonally cutting across. We've got some dry plains area right there, which is river biome. So it might be that you could make yourself a squid farm out of that because there's not too much water that you can't block off. I think potentially that could work quite well. That's a tiny little dark oak forest, that one there, and although it does kind of wind its way up to the left, a little bit more mountain forest there, and on the other side even more plains. Let's see what we'll carry on with. As we continue out in this direction, we've got quite a lot of plains that turn into this. I quite like this swamp area. That has got some potential for slime farming without question. Certainly it continues on that direction as well. It's got even more potential for slime farm. That's a much wetter swamp. I like that a lot more. With a dark oak forest on the left hand side, no sign of a mansion on that. We'll have a search out for how far away the mansion is in a moment. We've got mountains on the right. The swamp kind of continues on and then stops with a forest. We've got a broken portal right there, right on the edge of the mountains. What's further west? And a little bit further west, and we are just under 2,000 blocks west. We've got yet another village. Again, not a blacksmith's village, but some larger buildings there. So without question, there will be some decent chests for you to come and steal from. I mean, borrow from, obviously. And then we can perhaps repurpose this village because it's in a nice area. I like that we've got this big watery area to the right. We've got a ravine right there. We've got plenty of options here for wood with 2 forests. We've got the mountains. We've got the dark oak forest here. We're around about minus 2,000. So that's 2,000 blocks directly south. This could be a very good opportunity. In fact, so far, I think this is the best opportunity to have a really interesting looking base. I would repurpose this village, turn it into my base, perhaps some kind of walled town that could take advantage of all of the surroundings. We've got more mountains over on that side there as well. This is quite a nice area. And as we follow that river from the village in a westerly direction, more swamp comes up. Again, quite wet swamp, a little bit more dark oak, so you could build medieval style without running out of dark oak. It is without question the best wood to be able to build in for medieval style, which is my personal favourite. We've got another village here, which is a double church village, which is nice. So again, church villages do tend to have more chests available in them. Not always, but generally speaking they can. I like the wetness, the way that this wet swamp sweeps in across and has this dual style river here. So you've got some nice open area within these forest mountains that you could build quite a nice little base on as well. That little jutty out bit in the middle could be made quite interesting potentially. Your imagination could definitely run riot there. More dark oak forest on the right hand side, more birch so you can have more chests, because you can never have too many chests, right? And then we've got more plains on the left. And for those of you really into building, maybe even with some world edit, there is some great terraforming opportunities right here. We've got this gorgeous plains that's relatively flat, that so itself wouldn't take a lot of terraforming, but it's got this mountain, this hill right in the middle of it that you could possibly do some kind of hill fort, hill castle, but with the mountain backdrop that you could really accentuate, grow those mountains up, make them slightly more pointed. That would be a really beautiful build for someone to do a significant mega build project. We are talking minus 3,500, so 3,500 blocks directly south from spawn. I really like the idea of that myself. I've come onto Mine Atlas just to take a bit of a peek at this seed from a very, very bird's eye view. This square is about 6,000 in every direction. You can see about minus 6,000, minus 6,000. You've got your spawning point right in the middle there that's on that junction of multiple biomes. That big old jungle that we saw right next to there, you can see the Mesa. We've got a big frozen area down the left hand side. It's actually the only frozen area on the entire map. So if you want to go frozen, you have got ice spikes right there. We've interestingly got a Mesa, one of the hottest areas, right next to the frozen area, one of the coldest areas. If you kind of move around, the one thing I did notice that's relatively missing is mushroom biome. I can't really see anything mushroomy at all as I kind of spin around within about 10,000 blocks. So I might just have a bit of a peek when we do some searching to see how far away the closest mushroom biome is, because it is definitely not that close. But all in all directions, it's got a real mix of biomes. It's got plenty of water, it's got good amounts of land, it's got everything you could possibly need. It's a really nice seed. I've used some /OK to try and find some of the closest interesting areas. So the nearest stronghold is just under 1,500 blocks away, so that's not too bad at all. Nearest jungle pyramid we know is pretty close, less than 1,000. The desert period is less than 300, for goodness sake. Nearest swamp hut, which we didn't actually see because it's diagonal, is only 700 blocks away from us. The nearest igloo is almost certainly in that ice field that we just saw, around about 5,000 blocks, so that's quite a trot. Mansion is miles away, 25,000 blocks for the mansion, so it's actually a bit further than average, but if you go into the roof of the Nether, you'll probably find you can get there relatively quickly. And like I said, I had a quick look for mushroom fields, and there isn't a biome mushroom fields in any reasonable distance, which means that it is quite a long way away, literally probably more than 40,000 blocks. So if you wanted to play mushroom, don't come to this seed. If you want to play pretty much anything else, do. I'm in spectator mode now, and I've got night vision, so I'm going to go down and see if we can't check out what is going on underneath. So if you don't want spoilers and you want to explore this yourself, you best look away in 3, 2, 1, and we are under the ground. Did you see how perfectly I timed that? Wasn't that amazing? Now remember, this is going to look very different if you are playing this in Minecraft 1.17, because the Minecraft 1.17 update is going to give you a massively changed underground experience. In fact, the overground is going to be hugely changed as well. But we've got here quite a lot of cave. I mean, a really lot of cave under here. Round caves, movie caves, kind of twisting caves. There's all sorts of caveage going on. And as a result, you're going to find it very, very difficult, I think, to be able to do anything like branch mining. There's also quite a lot of lava lurking around just waiting to burn your face off. So at the spawn area, probably not so much mining available. However, when we come along here, this has got a much more open space. You can see all of this blackness means that this is solid rock underneath that we've got now. And as a result, that solid rock is going to allow you to do far more branch mining and possibly give you an awful lot more opportunity to find ores. We have also got here a skeleton, which is excellent. I do love a good skeleton spawner. That is at -148, 15, 62. Pretty close to where you spawn, and you can see if I look upwards, you can see that pillar there. As a result, that skeleton spawner is very, very close. Now, what isn't so close, and is actually quite surprising, is that we've not got too much in the way of mineshaft. We've got quite a lot of ravine. In fact, loads and loads of ravine, but not too much in the way of mineshaft directly under where we spawn. But we do have a mineshaft here, if you travel just a little bit along. And this is actually my favourite type of mineshaft because it is dipping in between these ravines. And they're always fun if you've got a ravine mineshaft. They're always far more open, a lot more easy to explore. And this one is actually quite a big one. Just looking around, see, yep, there we go. We've got a cave spider spawner right there, which is at -331, 13, 181. Again, please do remember this is going to be different if you are in Minecraft 1.17. The Cave and Cliffs update is not going to give you the same thing. A zombie spawner right there at -358, 161, which is nice. And over on the other direction, there was also another mineshaft as well, which I think I saw. Yep, over here. It is what looks potentially a slightly smaller mineshaft. Again, it's going right across this big ravine. In fact, that crosses it at a diagonal, which is always fun. We've got more area to be able to explore in this direction. It's actually a bit bigger than I thought it was at first glance. We've got another zombie spawner right here, -471, 38, -32. So plenty of spawners underground within about 300 or 400 blocks of where you spawn in. Again, we've got another cave spider spawner right there, which is sitting at -380, 44, -69. So if you're willing to explore out about a 500 block sphere, you're probably going to find you've got plenty. That's actually a double spider spawner right there. If you were to come to around about -384, 44, -56, you've got a double cave spider right there. Perfect farming opportunity. Time to go interdimensional now. Let's see what's waiting for us on the other side of this portal to the Nether. I'm really interested to know what biomes we're going to end up with. That's ready. Let's step our way through. And that is going to bring us into... Oh, we've come straight into a warped forest biome. Now, that is brilliant. Now, because it's a warped forest, what that means is that we are quite likely to not have too many problems when it comes to the spawning of mobs, because only Endermen can spawn within one of these forests. We've got no fear, by the look of it, of lava falling on our heads. So it's a pretty decent spawn. Oh my goodness. Right here. Can you see what I found? Right here. Right on the spawn. Right on the spawn, you have got a fortress literally right next to it. That's absolutely brilliant. What I'd be interested to know, however, is have we got... Yep, we've got a blaze spawner right next to us. So you can see that's where we come through. Blaze spawner right there. Perfect opportunity for farm. I'm just going to go into spectator mode to see if we can't find our favourite part of these fortresses, which is the... all of my fungus. Where is the fungus? It is pretty buried, this fortress. It's not going to be very good to be able to make a wither farm because, well, the buriedness of it is going to avoid you being able to do that particularly. It's not a big one, or at least it wasn't on that side. Have we got the opportunity? This bit's a little bit more open. Maybe this area could be used as it rolls into this basalt delta. I'm hoping over here we could end up with a little bit more opportunity to be able to find some of our fungus. Yes, indeed, our fungus room is at 94, 56, -138. I was getting worried for a minute. So we already know where our basalt delta is. We already know where our warped forest is. We already know where our fortress is. Where's the other stuff? So doing again another little bit of a locate. The Crimson Forest is about 200 blocks away from where we come through. The Soul Sand Valley is about 400 blocks away from where we come through. The Nether Waste is about 150 blocks away, and the nearest Bastion Remnant looks like it's pretty close. It's less than 200 blocks. Let's go and have a look for all of it. Now, be aware that the Bastion Remnant is fairly buried. You can see it's kind of on the border of this warped forest and also the Basalt Delta right here. And to get in is going to be quite fun because it's relatively buried. You can see the edges of it are all around here, but you could potentially dig your way in going in this direction. Is it a decent one? I just want to kind of dig in, just see what we've got. Yeah, so it's going to be tough, but actually there's a number of small holes and buildings here where you can get some treasure without actually worrying about having your face eaten off, because all of these little holes means that there are going to be fewer piglins, and more specifically piglin brutes, to be able to hurt you. And the Crimson Forest actually has right next to it another Bastion Remnant, which I didn't know was coming, but this one is far, far more open. So do be aware, these brutish looking blokes here are going to literally crack open your head in about 3 hits. They are so, so hard. But the Crimson Forest, right here where it was promised, second Bastion Remnant. Brilliant. The Soul Sand Valley, however, is mostly up in the air, so it's the ceiling that you're going to be mining, not so much the floor. There is the hugest lava lake, just absolutely massive old lava lake, covering most of that particular biome. But you have got a little bit of bone that you can come and get. Bone, always good to have. Plenty of bone meal to be had from those blocks. It's just on the edge, the outer edge of that basalt delta right there. And then the Nether Waste, just on the other side, you can see the Bastion Remnant that we were, the kind of enclosed Bastion Remnant is right there, right next to the warped forest. It's not too far away. You've got plenty of opportunity to come and get all of your quartz mining done right here. This seed has got potential for everybody. The builders are going to love the biome diversity and the way there are lots of opportunities to do some really interesting building. Those people that want to collect treasure, you've got desert pyramids, you've got jungle pyramids, you've got monuments close by, you've got all sorts of things that are going to allow you to come and collect all your treasures and get rich really quickly. And then there's the speedrunners. And yes, I really do mean the speedrunners. Did you see that Nether? That Nether is perfect for speedrunning. The fortress, the Bastion Remnant, the spawn, right next to each other. You're only 100 blocks apart. That doesn't get any better. Dream, come and do this seed. I think you'd really like it. As a result, I want to say thank you very much for MysticVitriol. MysticVitriol, thank you for sharing this seed. It is absolute cracker. So much for so many different people. I really, really do like it. And I hope it brings anybody that tries it a lot of joy. If you have got a really great seed, even better than this one maybe, then do let me know by sending me an email to avamanceminecraft@gmail.com. That is avamanceminecraft@gmail.com. Make sure you tell me why it is good. Give me some information about it. Tell me where spawners are. Tell me what the nether's like. Tell me where all the closest points of interest are. That's exactly what MysticVitriol did, and as a result, he got featured as episode 61. If you have enjoyed this video, please remember to slap that like button. It'd be great to know you enjoyed them, and I will keep on making them. Also, if you've not done it already, please do hit that subscribe button. It'd be great to see you in my sub club, and I look forward to seeing you in another video. You take it easy now. Bye.